I'm sorry, guys. It's been way too long. It's been way too long since I posted a YouTube video here. It's been, I think, 4 months. The last video I posted was on tensor core operations, and then we just went completely dark. And I apologize, but we're back. And as a matter of fact, we're so back. This one's going to be such a banger. You're going to want to click off sometime in the middle. I don't know. But I'm going to throw so much shit at you that you actually might click off. Like, be warned, okay? I want to go over something like none of this is sponsored. These are all my preferences. Like, I don't get paid for any of this. I'm not even well known enough for someone to reach out and be like, hey, can we give you money for this thing on your YouTube video? Like, no. But yeah, so none of these are sponsored. These are all just, this is my workflow. This is basically what I'm using right now and going through, sort of the Dunning-Kruger effect of just like, I think I know what I'm doing, and now we're actually kind of ascending that again, I think. And this is kind of just, this is going to be basically everything that I use just on the MacBook here. Before we get into it, please do consider following me on X. You can find link for that in the description. Consider subscribing. I probably won't post ever again, but just subscribe to me anyways, And then if you do want to jump on a call with me, an hour, however many hours you want, and just, maybe talk shit, vent a little bit, or even just get some general advice on how to up your workflow or anything code AI related, I'd be happy to do that. Link also in the description. Now, first things first is you need a good background. And this is what we have here. This is some image that I got found off of X from some wallpaper. You need to start off with a good background, dude. You have to. But no, for real. First section is going to be productivity and note-taking, all right? So I'm just going to give this to you raw. This is like unedited at all. Totally uncut. First thing is productivity and note-taking, all right? So there's this little tool that I like to use. It's called Apple Notes. Let me open it really quick. Apple Notes. Let me close it and open back up again because it's being buggy. There we go. This is Apple Notes. So, you all know what Apple Notes is, but I just like this as a general tool because you can... I know, it's hard not to laugh. It's Apple Notes, dude, come on. You can use it on your phone. I mean, if I just want to write something quick down and I don't want to go through any other mess, it's like Apple Notes just works. It syncs and everything. It's covered by Apple, right? So I can go on my iPhone, which I'm actually recording this on remotely, is you can just use that. And I find this like extremely helpful just to jot quick things down and then to port those on later once you actually get back to the computer, right? So you want to write someone's number down, pick someone up at the mall, or you just like, I don't know, need to go and take care of something, or you're like, ooh, I want to go to that event, but I don't have internet or something. I don't know, whatever it is. I like to use Apple Notes for that. There's like Google Keep, but Apple Notes is usually what I go to. And then there's, so there's Apple Notes, super easy. And then I usually use Obsidian for generally just like managing stuff. So let me pull this up. This is what I've used Obsidian for. So, we've got like, this is, and by the way, this is me leaking my entire like Obsidian workflow. This is like extremely personal. So please do not roast me over this. I will cry, but this is where everything happens. We've got everything from like general notes to ideas like research, startups, workflow, everything. Ideas for content creation, a bunch of literature. So like research papers that I organize. Everything is just in here, and I have some plugins that I use where I can actually talk to these. So I can go like archive, download from clipboard, and then it'll just port this into here. All these plugins that you can add to Obsidian. It's very modular, so I'm not going to say my workflow for Obsidian is the best. It's something that I would advise you to sort of expect to change on your own, but Obsidian has been great for me. Some other options would be like maybe Notion or Remnote. I've found Remnote to sometimes be a little clunky in how it handles stuff, and I haven't used the space repetition feature as much as I'd like. You can also add space repetition to Obsidian. The only con with Obsidian is that it does not sync by default with your phone, so you can't download the mobile app and have it sync by default. You actually have to set that up manually or pay a little bit of money for it. So that's the only downside, but then again, you have Apple Notes. So This is sort of what my Obsidian looks like. And then we have, let me actually increase this a little bit. We've got like some progress, so just like journaling, going and maintaining the stability up there, some simple life tricks, a bunch of textbooks that I may or may not have downloaded. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, and then we've got like, some basic stuff like how do we reverse entropy? I don't know. This is just stuff that I need to waste brain power on just to reset, and it's really good for mental health. So you'll just find this stuff like this around in my yeah, just absurd stuff everywhere. Obsidian's great. We've got journey, we've got planning for the future, the final boss, I call it, which is in fact the second law of thermodynamics, and then just a little dump, Obsidian's great that way. But anyways, that's sort of like section 1. There is one more thing though I should probably mention. I use this thing called Linear, and it's good for managing stuff, especially as a team. I don't work with very large teams right now, but I expect to in the future, and having Linear is awesome. Like I can literally just, for instance, this is what it might look like. So I can go into projects, and there's this book I'm writing right now called CUDA for deep learning. It's the stuff that software layer that runs on the NVIDIA GPUs, and I can add stuff to this. So I can add like resources, and I can like quickly change things. I can go like Command K, and it's very quick to edit stuff. I can like add a link or change project priority to say hi, and then that will get updated, and people can manage it. You can add people to it, so I can add someone new, like email, right? It's just very quick and snappy for this kind of management stuff. Having charts everywhere, and I can use like Command B, and I can yeah, if I go back to like say this menu here where all the projects are listed, I can do Command B, and I can go to like backlog or any of these different like progress categories, you could say. A timeline, so I can have a little Gantt chart here and organize things. So if I like say I want to complete this first, and then after this is completed, I can complete this. I can sort of like drag lines there and have things organized, and then back to normal. So 1, 2, 3. Just those options. It's like really nice. I can also go like C and create a new issue anywhere, and I can change like the a bunch of interesting stuff you can do with Linear. I haven't fully mastered it yet, but it's one of those things where you can really scale up your workflow, I feel like, and it's come in handy for me so far. Yeah, and then in terms of being a developer, because probably we're maybe you're a dev, maybe you're not, but I personally use the terminal quite a bit, and so when we're up here, I have this thing called Warp Terminal. If you look it up, Warp Terminal, warp.dev, literally just download it, and it has AIs built in. I don't use the AIs as much. I probably should though, but it's just very like snappy. You can like do this and ask for a command suggestion. So like list all, and then you can say like do this, and it will just, right, it's sort of quick that way where you don't have to memorize all the Linux commands. You don't have to read the 300-page Linux textbook to understand all this. And so I kind of use terminal. I can like bounce around and stuff. And then this other tool that I use, so you've probably heard of NeoVim before. So like a text editor, there's, VS Code or like, PyCharm or in some cases Vim, but I use NeoVim for some things. And, it comes quite in handy, but not by default. NeoVim by default is NeoVim by default can look kind of weird. It can kind of look like this, and it looks strange. But if I were to go into like an actual, like say a Rust project and src main, right? Like it actually looks like pretty good, just like the transparency and everything. So this is something I've integrated, and the way you can make this look nice is through a tool called nvchad. So I use nvchad.com, Linux, macOS. You just git clone it, and then you do this run mason install command, and then you can go like ts install, or where was it again? nvim ts install info, and then you can go up and down and basically install different language servers for each of these languages. So I've got like CUDA, of course. I've got C++. I don't have, say, like, I don't know, Blueprint or BibTeX or any of these. But it makes it look better when you actually go into your editor and mess around with those. So NVChat is great. And then another tool I like to use inside of NVChat is, let me go find it really quick. Config nvim, and I go to my Lua, and you'll have to actually learn nvim a little bit. So there's some overhead there, but I like to use it for like quick little edits. If I need to go edit my like bash RC file or quickly like change a code snippet somewhere, I'll just pop into here instead of letting VS Code load and everything, or actually cursor. But yeah, we go into, what was it? Plugins. And then I use this thing called Avante nvim that basically uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet to do completions for me. So I can say, I go like space AA, and I can say, hello world. I can send that over. And Claude will actually, or give it a second. Yeah, and then it will complete a response there. So it's sort of like Cursor, but in nvim, and you can like edit things quickly, and I can go like up and down and stuff. It's pretty cool. But anyways, that's basically it for development and terminal tools. I love the whole NeoVim NVChat thing. It's just like great. Everything is done in the terminal. Next up, for creativity and content creation, I'm actually using this thing called Screen Studio, which I'm using to record right now. So I'm not going to open it, but Screen Studio is a recent tool built for macOS specifically. And you can basically, it's like a little, I don't even know how to explain this. It's like so easy to just use. You literally download it, and I think you pay a little bit of money for it, subscription, but it's way easier to use than like OBS. So in OBS Studio, you will like start recording and then stop recording, and it will just capture the screen, and the camera will stay in like some awkward position. But in this one, you notice that my camera is actually down, and it's got this like nice sort of bubble around it. This is Screen Studio, and I can stop playing and I can start playing again, and I can select a specific chunk of the screen. It's just phenomenal, and I use it to actually record like most of my content now, because it's just so easy to use. And you can like, edit something, like trim it like this, and then send it off as like an MP4 somewhere, and you don't have to pop into another tool like say CapCut to actually finish off the editing. But I usually do like to go into CapCut anyways because it's such a great tool. Now CapCut is interesting. It's also a native macOS app. I can like create a project and say like one of the time lapses that I did recently. I do these coding time lapses on X, and let's just say we took like 47th, right? Pop it into here. This is when I was on a trip to Helsinki in Finland, and we were working all night, all day and all night. And yeah, I can just go into here, literally drag and drop, and then like say, I go Finder, Gen, Clips, and I can say like put the Aria Math Protostar remix in there, and it will just sound amazing. And then I can like go into here, I can change the speed, and you'll see that that'll like shrink. We can like sort of do this, and it's just like easy to scroll in and out. Like everything is as you would expect, sort of when you start using a new piece of software and you try to like tinker around with things, like drag that into that window, or just like try some weird finger movement. Like things just work as you expect them to, and CapCut's great for that. Now, last tool, it depends on what content you're creating, but when you're doing technical lectures like I am, this can really come in handy. So I use this thing called ExcaliDraw, and I can go and draw like say I want a new diagram, say like, I don't know, V1, or no, I'll go private. Oops. I go into private, say, and I create a scene. We'll put this together. Let me full screen, and I can, for instance, pop down to here and like make this in dark mode, and then I can just like draw stuff, and I can change like the opacity of it. I can change sort of the different different schemes. I can change the colors, everything. And I can use this to put together these nice diagrams to explain how concepts in artificial intelligence work, like backpropagation or running code on GPUs. This can come really in handy because the intuition, it's literally limitless. You're stuck to this 2D diagram that looks like an actual sketch pad, and you can just draw things on it on here, and it's like very quick, and there's keyboard shortcuts and everything. So I'll like sketch something up on the whiteboard, and then I'll go into here and like literally copy and paste it and like maybe polish a little bit, and then it's like ready to ship and show people. So very useful tool. I paid a little bit for this. It was like, I don't know, $8 to $10 or something per month, and I literally just get to have my own storage of them, so I don't have to back up files. It will just save it in the cloud for me, and it's awesome. So ScholarDraw is another great tool. But yeah, and then I'm going to get into some more like technical ones now. So system customization and utilities, I like to call this. I mean, this is the recommendation that actually Grok gave me. This is what a good title was. But so first off, I'm going to start off with this thing called Raycast. And Raycast, if you have not heard of Raycast, it is like, if you're not using Raycast, you have to use it. It is insanely good. Literally, you install Raycast. And I'll just bring up actually the browser again. But Raycast, raycast.com. Your shortcut to everything, right? Download for Mac, right? AI extensions, everything. And literally, I can fly into here. I can go command space, and it has my thing saved, my profile picture, and I can say go to like, I can go to Discord. You probably see me do this before. Cool tricks inside Discord. I can ask AI with tab, and it will complete with GPT-4o Mini, right? I can go to like, say, Discord, for instance. Oh, that just popped up. And now I can go to, say, Spotify, or I can go to Cursor, right? Or I can go to, a really cool tool, actually, is if you go to this store, you search archive. If you're into reading papers like I am, archive search. So you can literally, once you install this tool, so you can go search archive, and I can go say this new inference optimization called SGLang, like this. And I can pull that up, and it will bring up an archive paper for it instantly. And you just have this massive search over the entirety of archive, and you can pull any paper up instantly. It's like very, very fast. I was actually going to build a tool for this specifically to do this, and then I figured out that Raycast already has one. So if there is a tool that you need, just like literally check the Raycast store, and it will probably have that tool. Or just check GitHub or ask like Perplexity, which is another tool I'll go into later. But yes, so you can bring up all this stuff, and then yeah, like Raycast is wonderful. I can move windows around. So if I were to say, like take my Obsidian window, go like left, go right, go, go center. I can go center like last third. I can go first third. Yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, Raycast lets you do a lot. It's quite impressive actually. But let me slide this back down. This is a little more niche. Now this is called Carabiner Elements. This is where was it? This one. Yeah. So I go Carabiner Elements with Raycast, and you can install this on your own. But basically, I use this to write macros and map stuff around. I'm not very complicated with macros. I don't use like crazy shit, but when it comes to like remapping something, for example, pressing escape every time I want to like exit Raycast, like this, pressing escape every time would be super annoying. So I just bind everything to caps lock, and then I just type all of my capital letters with shift. So I like not capitalize when I'm sending people messages, hence the title of this video. But Carabiner Elements is great, and you can just do simple mappings like this that will make your life way easier. I was looking for a tool to sort of do this remapping easily, and Carabiner Elements was the first one that actually came up. So this tool has been like pretty helpful for me overall, and it's got a lot more stuff built into it that I haven't even covered yet and will not be covering. And then there's this upper tool up here called Better Display, which I can adjust the brightness with. Ooh, just flickered off. I can like turn the brightness of that. I don't know what it looks like from your end, but I can definitely change brightness there. And it just it makes things easier just for individual displays. And you can have virtual screens and change system colors. There's just a bunch of options there, which I find pretty nice. But when you want to say like remote into, another machine, like let's say I start off in the terminal here and I want to remote into my GPU cluster out there in the breaker room, because it's very close to the router and power and everything. It just works, and it's very cool in that room. So my GPUs can stay at a nice temperature. It won't warm up the entire house because it's locked in this little cabin. But basically I can go SSH and into this. This is a special IP address that's specifically for my rig. I can go into here, type the code, and I am now in. And I can go to like my CUDA directory, right? And now we have everything here. So I can go like cd ptx, and I can envim from here and like check stuff that's literally like I'm wirelessly connecting to that machine in the other room. And the best part is that you might think, oh, well, SSH is just everything in your local network, but no. This thing up here called Tailscale, this actually lets you connect from anywhere in the world. So a month ago, when I was out in Finland, I could connect into this instance and do training runs and do experiments when I was 8,000 kilometers away from my house. And Tailscale is great for that. So let me just quickly show you what Tailscale looks like. So we can log in, and I'll quickly just... This is my tailnet, and there is, hopefully I don't leak stuff. But yeah, like you won't be able to sign into any of these unless you're actually in my tailnet. So don't worry about it. But I got my iPhone connected. We got this instance, which is my Linux rig, and then my MacBook Pro, and then a friend's MacBook as well. I gave him root access just to do experiments on my rig. But yeah, you can add your friends to this. And basically you would go download, and then what I would recommend you do is actually go talk to an AI called Grok, like this. And you can just ask it to grok.com. You can go and ask it how to set up Tailscale. You download it through like a referral link, and then you would set up and check off a bunch of settings. And then after some efforts, it's not the easiest thing to set up in the world, but it's on the easier side, I would say, of all things. And you can sort of just get it spinning, and then you can connect all of your rigs together, and you can just talk to your GPU cluster from across the world when it's in your house, and you'll be the only one who can talk to it. So pretty cool tool that I use. And then there's one thing I did want to cover was like sort of my directory structure. I've been working on this for quite a bit, and I thought it would be worth like sharing with y'all. So basically what I do is, and I don't know, you might not care as much about this, but I'm like I'm going through that organizational phase where everything needs to be in perfect order. And literally this is what we start off with. So we got like applications, etc., just the basic stuff on macOS. And then we'll have Gen, which is where everything happens. So I'll go into Gen, which is general. And then I can go like LS in here. So I have this chat app that I'm building. I've got all these clips, so I go like LS chat, we've got all this, we got like LS clips, all this like MP3 files that I can play, LS cursor, so I've got like these cursor MCP tools, which by the way, do not do yet. MCP tools are just not it right now. I would add this to the workflow, but there's just too much overhead to make it make sense. Some people might find it valuable, and in that case, you might want to look into cursor MCPs. It's called Model Context Protocol, but I'm not covering that in this video. And then there's like a Grok desktop app, which I installed, but I don't use that much. So I just mainly keep everything at this. There's like a hierarchy. So there's like all the main macOS stuff, and then there's Gen, and then it goes down into, say, like more special stuff that I want to have more organization over. So like clips or cursor specifically, or like images, or ISOs. So I've got like, you know, I've got like Ubuntu, I've got Ventoy, I've got Windows 10, and then I'll have like prompts. For instance, Pokemon is a current client work project that I'm doing, so I'm not going to show that. But then I've got like prompts. So inside of here, I've got like this expert, say, list prompts or cat prompts, expert conductor readme, and it will be just like prompts for language models on how to do better. Let's see, ultra deep think readme. Or sorry, we'll do this and then cat. So ultra think mode. Basically, you can take a model like OpenAI O3 or O4 Mini. That's what the models are right now, at least. And you can just say go even deeper, and it will like search everything and try to, it just basically ups the quality of the model. And then I've got another one here. Prompts, what was it again? Hyper rationalism first principles. You are hyper rationalist, first principles, problem solver with zero tolerance for excuses, rationalizations or bullshit, pure focus on deconstructing problems. Basically, imagine you're working at SpaceX for Elon Musk, and you're trying to break down a problem. It's like you literally have him right here, and it will just like rigorously break down everything, challenge all assumptions, everything. No fuzzy thinking whatsoever, specificity in all things. You get the point. And you can actually find these on my GitHub repo. So github.com/invatoshi/hyperrationalism first principles. Like you can find this here. If you go to my repositories, you can see there's like ultra deep think, expert conductor, hyperrationalism first principles down here. So that's kind of what I use for those. And then what's another good one? There's Pi. So I'll go in here. I have all my Python projects laid out, just like literally if we were to list just like one of them, say, I don't know, Llama V8, which is Llama Voice Assistant. I go ls. It's just literally a Python project setup. It can be very like sloppy, whatever, but just like the prototype for anything I do goes into there. And we can just very quickly iterate locally on this MacBook Pro. We've got RPi, which is a Raspberry Pi. So this little Raspberry Pi over there, that's doing a time lapse of me working for the entire night. This is actually where you'll see me on X, is probably, time lapses of me working all day and night is, all that stuff is done like here. So I don't have I have a time lapse maker, which I haven't actually dragged into here yet, but sometimes I'll just take a song from YouTube, for instance, and I'll just drag it into here. I go like mplayer, and I'll go like, I don't know, Dreams or something, and it will just play this song on loop all day, and I could just vibe to that. So this is a little thing. You can hook up like your speakers to that, or like onto here or something, and I don't know, just kind of like a placeholder tinkering directory for the Pi. And then, we've got Rust, of course, so, different things we could do here. So I can go into like, say, CD tensors, cargo run release. Sure. No, that's going to take too long. But you get the point. All the Rust stuff goes in there. So we have Python, we have Rust, we've got CUDA. So a bunch of CUDA projects that I have. So like, I don't know, for instance, tensor cores, we could like nvim, and you could see like tensorcores.md or a CUDA file, which I use cutless tensor cores. So you can sort of like play around with stuff. And I include a lot of this here just to tinker with. Of course, you can't run CUDA kernels on a MacBook because it does not have an NVIDIA GPU in it. It has an Apple Metal GPU, but you can just store it on here, do like quick iteration locally, and then push it up to your cluster or something. So I just like to do like quick, or store like a template on here of something, so that I can quickly send it over to any machine that I need to. Because if something is over there, then I have to like send it here and then send it over to that machine. And when you have all your templates and examples just at one centralized entity, then you can send that to any GPU cluster environment that you want. What's a good one? What's a good one? Maybe scripts. So like MCPs, if I want to, previously when I was getting my MCPs going, I can just launch this thing in the background and it will literally just basically a shell script that will just run things. Or like when I want to create a new GitHub repo, I have a script that's alias to the command gcreate. It's like a single word that I do. Gcreate, like this. And it'll literally just put up a new one and put all the contents of my current directory and just dump it into a GitHub repo. And I can make it private or public. So just having scripts like this are very useful, part of my workflow. Thought I should share that with y'all. Templates, this is a good one. So CUDA templates, there's like TC, which is tensor cores, and then we've got like LS torch. So if I want to say like have something in PyTorch that I then call to a GPU kernel, I can compile that GPU kernel with like a setup script. So I'll go like python setup.py, and then I can call main. I can call this main script here, and that will reference those compiled binaries, and then it will call them whenever I need to do an operation. So if PyTorch doesn't have something natively, if a new research paper comes out or a new neural network operation, I can go and write my own kernel for that and make it optimized, and then I can take it back to into like one of these single files, and then just have a bindings.cu, and then just run it faster by default in PyTorch, and just have my own implementation for that. So it's just kind of nice when you want to be on the absolute bleeding edge of things. And I know as a systems guy, this is very useful to have, because you literally are on the bleeding edge. Nothing like a lot of what you do will be referencing stuff that's old literature, because that's what hardware is based on. Nothing is like absolutely bleeding edge like software is. But you will have a lot of bleeding edge software too that no one has seen, and it just really helps to have templates like this. Another template might be like I don't know, LS Python. So like NanoGPT or MLX benchmark, or like Rust, which I haven't put anything into yet because I don't write much Rust code. Web development for just like a little React website or something, and then this Y repo, which fuck it, why not? Basically just everything existential crisis, like how do you basically that thing in Obsidian that I had where we would go through like solving intelligence and traveling at the speed of light and having unlimited energy, like all this stuff, and just like why are we doing everything that we do? And something along the lines of that is like questions to or answers to the universe itself, and like why are we here? Why does the universe exist? Just like everything that stems down from there in sort of a web format. And that's sort of what I've ported into this little thing here. I felt it had enough importance that I'd put it in Gen. And then, yeah, basically that's my whole directory structure there. Hopefully that like helps you understand a little bit how I organize things. You don't have to do it the same way as I do. You might be more structured and like less sloppy and prototypey with things, but that's how I generally do it. And then, yeah, so I already went over those prompts. This is a section I want to sort of discuss how to use AI in your workflow, and specifically what I do to use it. So one example of using AI would be like if I'm talking to Grok and I want to be like, write me a CUDA kernel that does the top K operation really fast for a small batch size. What I just did there was I pressed the function key and it opened that window. And this is called Super Whisper, right? You can drag this around, make it smaller, whatever you'd like. And yeah, literally just, let me exit. So I can go to Super Whisper. I can click up at the top here, go settings. There's a bunch of modes. So I can have like a default mode, message mode. There's a bunch of things you can configure here, but I have selected the ultra mode, which is right here, actually. can't remember which Ultra I got, but anyways, the whole point is you can do this like very, very accurate and fast speech to text translation. So when you're inside of Cursor and you want to iterate quickly and you don't want to have to type everything out and everything is just prompting for you, it's sort of like this vibe coding thing. If you've ever heard of it, where you just let the system be like chaotic and you just keep asking the AI to generate new code and new code and new code, and you just build the thing up just by prompting it. But when you're typing, like for instance, I could go on like typing test and maybe get like 120, maybe 140 words per minute, like on a good day. But if I were to just talk to it like this, how I'm talking to you now, that might be like 180 to like 220 words per minute. It's like very fast. And you can do that consistently, and it's just like streaming your thoughts. So everything will just come out the way that you like. There's no planning, right? So you have to watch out. In text, you can actually plan how you write the characters, whereas in this example, I just can literally feed into Grok. I can say, here's my idea. Now turn this into a better prompt for a coding model. So that way you would just send it, and then it would generate the thing. You'd paste that over into Cursor, and then you would get a really good output because the prompt is optimized for those coding models. And they're very straightforward and contain less tokens. There's more specific details in there that it needs to know about, as opposed to you just vaguely blabbering on about things. And so Super Whisper has been very helpful there. But yeah, so Super Whisper is great. Transcription, like it's better than the macOS dictation tool from my experience. It's faster, higher quality, and they're adding some really cool features to it. And it's just overall just, I think, better. And it does cost a little bit. I think it's like $8.50 a month, but that's been worth it for me. From the amount of time of typing that saves, it's quite worth it and scales well. And then there's this like Perplexity tool, which you've probably heard of already. I can just be like, what's the weather today in Edmonton? Started a little early and messed up with the typo, but yeah, it's temperature like 5 degrees. Yeah, it feels like 5 degrees outside. I live in Edmonton. 5 degrees outside. Yep. Perplexity is great. It's a little search tool. You can argue that it's better than the search browser itself, the actual search engine built into like Brave or Google Chrome. It's great. And then this other tool, let me see. I'll bring up this example here. This is Cursor. This is a tool that I use to basically do all of my programming. And so if you haven't heard of Cursor, I assume you probably have, but if you have not, I'll give you a little demo here. So it's the same as Visual Studio Code. It's literally a fork of VS Code, except you get this little chat menu here, and you get these auto-completes. So if I were to say, add a dropout layer, then it'll add dropout. And it's just sort of quick that way, and will auto-suggest things to do, and you can sort of just like escape, no, or you can tab, and have it auto-complete everything. But the most important feature is if you slide this out, you have 3 options. You have agent, you have ask, and you have manual. So manually decide what gets added to the context. So I can say manual, and I can go at inference.py. Explain this, and that will use this model here, Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And there's a bunch of models you can have. So it can auto-select the models. It can use thinking ones. Thinking is where you'll prompt it, and it will go into its own little, it will basically, in HTML, you might have like open paragraph and then close it, or like open a div and close a div. It will do exactly this. It will start with like an open think and then a close think, and in between, it will literally just spew a bunch of text that is its thought process on what to do. So instead of you giving it the prompt and then it going and just immediately trying to solve it, it will actually think out loud to itself on how it should approach this problem the best. So models like DeepSeek R1, DeepSeek actually does this, and you can see that chain of thought. And then after it's done the chain of thought, when it has the close think token, when it like ends, it will then actually start to give you the response that you wanted. So it'll be like, okay, based on our thinking, this is what we're going to do. And then it will literally just give you the code or whatever task you ask it to complete. And it will do very well at like math and reasoning and even coding tasks. So I usually enable thinking on models, but there's only some thinking models that are available. So like Gemini, O4 Mini, O3, pretty expensive actually, but Yeah. And you can change the models if you actually go to settings. So you can change, I can use like say DeepSeek, or I can use Gemini Flash or Gemini Pro or GPT 4.1 or whatever models. And at the bottom, of course, if you want to use a separate one, like if you're using say Grok, right, like very, very fast inference, you go in here and you can say like use this model, say, what's the most difficult math problem that you know in number theory? And it will stream, it will think, and then it will end. You can actually see it spew out text ridiculously fast. This will go at like 275 tokens per second, so it's actually ridiculous. And you might ask, like, how do I actually add Grok, right? I can take the product and take like the platform, and I can, if I want to go and say like add in a model here, if we go to like documentation and I want to like say take, I don't know, Llama 3.3 versatile, or maybe, what's a good one? Maybe like DeepSeek, right? If I want to take a distilled DeepSeek model and I want to put it into Cursor to like talk really fast, how do I do that? And the answer to this question is you would go into this OpenAI API key, you can override the base URL, and you would slide the Grok API URL in there, or like OpenRouter, for instance. And OpenRouter is also another tool that I'd like to quickly show you as a part of this whole AI workflow, which basically you can access all models from here. So if I wanted to say access, I don't know, R1, I go DeepSeek R1, and I could find like which providers are doing what. So let's say Deep Infra Turbo will offer this model at 300 tokens per second. And so I could go to like API, and then I would take this base URL, see OpenAI, and the base URL there, that's what you would paste in. So when we go back to Cursor, you'll see literally this, openrouter.ai/API/v1, and that will be exactly here. So I literally just copy and paste that into Cursor, and I can talk to any router on any model on OpenRouter that I want to. And then of course my API key in there from OpenRouter, because the models aren't free. But that's a pretty solid way to speed things up. OpenRouter is great, and it just offers everything. You can go Grok, or you can go like, I don't know. I think Grok is one of their providers actually. So go to providers on like a distilled model, you'll find Grok there. But if I wanted to say like use Grok 3, you can find it here from XAI, right? And pretty solid. But let me breathe. Okay, let me give you a demo in Cursor here. Let's take, which model should we take? We can go to, let's use Gemini 2.5 Pro at ReLU. Optimize this ReLU kernel via thread coarsening. I need to change that to, if I go down here and change this to Pro Experimental, and it will start thinking to itself inside of Cursor, planning next moves. And this is the actual thought process itself. And this model runs quite fast, obviously, because it's hosted on Google. And then it will port in this new, and you can sort of just apply, and you can say like Command Enter, and it will make those changes, or I can go like Control Z, and then I can reject it. But you can generally move like very fast when you can see how fast I was moving. And Gemini 2.5 Pro is actually the best coding model in the world right now. And it is this fast. So when you're talking to it and you're making these rapid changes to like say very important like kernel level GPU code, you can work wonders really. So this is Cursor. Hope you like it. I use Cursor a lot. And then there's this other one that I want to introduce to you called Chorus. So Chorus is where I sort of go off to plan stuff. Using this Grok UI is like, it's okay and it works, but and it has like a memory feature and deep search and think and all these modes. But what it does not have is some of the things that Chorus has. And so if I go ask, and I say expand this, and I make a new chat, right? I can like look at the side panel there with Command B, a little keyboard shortcut. I can go into here, I can select models. So I can go like Gemini, or I can go GPT 4.1, as you can see there. I can go to say like Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and I can be like sup. How can I assist you today, right? And it will just take your API keys and it will use those. You don't have to pay for anything in Chorus. It's completely free, and you just use your API keys. It barely costs any money to talk to models like this. This probably costs like, I don't know, 0.001 cents to talk. This specific request, like very cheap. And you can like branch out. You can use what do you call it? Let me reopen Course. It's a very new. Sometimes it is a little buggy, but I don't mind for how much features and how simple it is. So I can like open a new chat, and then I can go say brainstorm. I'll say like, give me ideas on how to plan for a party on May the 4th. I can enter, and it will brainstorm and spin up a bunch of random, a bunch of ideas here in parallel. And it's sort of like really cool to watch. And then you could go to say, May the 4th, yeah. And then you can, give it a second. You can go to like say, compare, and then I'll use Grok 3, I'll use GPT 4.1, I'll use maybe a new Llama 4 model, and then we'll let these all run on their own. Let's see. How would you approach optimizing a floating point 8 matrix multiplication kernel on Hopper GPUs from scratch? No auth credentials found. Okay, so I need to put my API key in there, but you get the point. And so all the models will just kind of go off on their own, and they will just, so you can just watch these responses in parallel. You can stop one of them, stop this one, maybe copy that response or make this one bigger, etc. And it's just great for just like everything. And I can just like quickly, wrong key. I can just make a new chat like that. Command N, Command K. I can like navigate these. I can go like settings, and API keys are laid out. Appearance, you can like change the font and everything. Ambient chat is another feature I like. So you can option space, and then you can say like sup. Hey, not much, what's up with you? And then you can like close it with escape. So it's just kind of like nice to have these. So instead of command space for Raycast, I'll go option space for Chorus, and just make a new chat with Command N like this. And that's Chorus for you. Great. And then last but not least, I use the Brave browser. Everything is nice and secure in here. It's it's also, it is based on Chromium, so it's not the most memory efficient thing in the world, but it's pretty good for what you get from Brave exactly. So yeah, that's, hopefully I haven't clicked off at this point. You probably have, but this is just my sort of rant about all things I do. One thing I would also recommend is actually getting a good sleep at night. So if you're staying up all night and just like watching this video, like go to bed, literally go to bed. Wake up in the morning, watch the video again, or just literally, take one of my stupid videos and literally transcribe the whole thing, and then just feed it into Chorus and have like 8 models just go in parallel and attack it and say, what's the most important thing here? And then say, and then you could copy all of those responses and say, what do the models agree on is the most unique thing from this video? And then you could be so fast and creative with things, it's unreal. But anyways, I am going to stop ranting now. And I'm actually going to go to bed soon, but, thanks for tuning in again. Follow me on X, really quick. Follow me on X at Elliot Arledge here. I'm kind of famous a little bit, but cheers.